Treasury's cash balance is around levels last seen in 2021. Amount of tax the U.S. collects will shape the debt cap deadline. Welcome to Long Branch News, your daily source for the latest business news and trends from around the world. Whether you're an entrepreneur, investor, or simply interested in the world of business, our channel is the perfect place to stay up to date on the latest developments in the industry. From breaking news to in-depth analysis, our team of experienced reporters and analysts brings you the stories that matter most, delivered in a clear and concise format. So if you're ready to stay ahead of the curve and take your business acumen to the next level, hit that subscribe button and join us on this exciting journey. The question of when the U.S. could default will come into sharp relief this week, when the Treasury reveals how big its tax take is likely to be. With the political battle over the statutory debt ceiling set to amp up again, the Treasury's tax receipts will give a clearer idea of how much cash it will have on hand as it approaches the limits imposed by the $31.4 trillion cap that will prevent it from borrowing. Right now, the estimates for that so-called drop-dead date are wide, anywhere from early summer through to the U.S. fall, but investors and officials are hoping they will have a better idea soon. This Tuesday is the deadline for most U.S. taxpayers to get their annual paperwork filed and make payments for what they estimate is owed. Those funds should show up in the Treasury's bank account shortly afterward to bolster its rapidly dwindling cash pile. The key question is by how much and whether that will be enough to keep the Treasury flush with dollars until around June, when there's an additional influx of tax money, and when it can also tap some additional accounting gimmicks beyond those that it's already employing to keep the government away from the precipice. We maintain our current base case for a mid-August ex-date but see risks skewed towards earlier. Bank of America analysts Mark Cabana and Katie Craig wrote in a note to clients, referring to the point when the U.S. is about to run out of ceiling headroom. In their view, an increase in the Treasury cash pile of more than $200 billion following this week's tax day would be strong, while a figure of less than $150 billion would be weak, based on historical precedent. The narrowing window for negotiations is likely to become an increased focus for lawmakers in the coming weeks, and U.S. House Speaker Kevin McCarthy is preparing to roll out this week his proposal for a one-year debt ceiling suspension, according to people familiar with the matter. Republicans have long sought to make any deal contingent on spending cuts, while President Joe Biden has insisted that ceiling and budget issues ought to be separate. Following are some ways to help gauge just how jittery markets are getting and what timeframes they're most concerned about. Yield curve dislocations. Watch out for investors demanding higher yields on securities that are due to be repaid shortly after the U.S. runs out of borrowing capacity. That's because the government won't be able to sell fresh securities and get cash to repay holders. In past episodes, that's created an unusual kink in the curve around the most vulnerable point. Right now there are small dislocations around various maturities, but not one clear-cut spot, and uncertainty over the Federal Reserve's interest rate policy path in the near term is also a complicating factor. But if a clear distortion does emerge, then it is a significant red flag. The same logic that pushes investors away from certain more vulnerable securities means that alternatives linked to less risky dates are in greater demand. Securities that mature sufficiently ahead of any likely ceiling crunch point, such as 1- and 2-month T-bills, have been proving relatively popular.